Howdy, riders. Welcome back to another episode of Ride Between the Wines, virtual edition. In this episode, I'm speaking with Alberto Chiarlo from Michele Chiarlo, so Michele Chiarlo's son, all the way in Piemonte. Amazing Barberas, Barolos, Moscatos, Gavi. Very fun episode. Very cool to talk to this guy. Stick around for the end of the episode for my local restaurant Take 5 segment, where I'll be talking with George Kessler of Il Giorgione, which is a cool little Italian place right here in town. Buckle up. Let's ride.
The world we live in is an amazing one, full of passion, wonderment, and of course, fine wine. This is the story of one man's journey to fully understand and appreciate that world. So kick the tires and light the fires. It's time to ride between the wines.
It's Burgundian in style. Just a whisper of cherry.
Very nice legs.
This is so perfectly balanced.
Such an old world style.
Is this laced with tobacco? A total fruit bomb.
I say, Ponzi! Buongiorno.
Buongiorno! I'm gonna put my headphones on.
How are you? Come stai?
Molto bene, grazie. Tu?
Molto bene, grazie. Thank you so much for doing this. This is super exciting for me. So I'm very happy to have you on here.
Grazie molto. I'm very pleased to be on board. Sorry for my English.
Oh no, you'll be great. Sorry for my Italian. All right. Well, to start off with, first of all, what's your name that popped up here? Cirecquo?
My name is Alberto.
I know. What is your Palas Cirecquo?
Palas Cirecquio is our small hotel devoted to Barolo single vineyards.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. All
That
right.
is in the middle of our top vineyard in Barolo, Cirecquio. It's a 19th century estate in which we collect more than 500 Barolos from different producers. And so each day we make super Barolo tastings, not only Chiarlo.
Ooh, that's nice. Can you, so could we just start off? Could you just tell me a little bit about you and then take your family back to Pietro maybe, or whatever would be fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, you know, I'm the only one in the family that is not a winemaker.
Okay.
Because my brother, my father, my grandfather, they have been a winemaker. Currently, my brother is a winemaker that is also in charge of all the vineyard practices.
Mm-hmm.
My father, Michele, is the founder and the CEO, and the president. And he has been making his 63rd harvest in 2019, so he has quite an experience.
Yeah.
Everything started from my grandfather Pietro, that started as a very small Barbera producer in the 1929, and then the winery started with my father's name in 56.
Okay.
I'm in charge for sales and marketing. And we are, you know, it's about family, you know, so we are 100%, family, because the wines are created by my brother with experience of my father, and you know, we have all the family involved in our different projects, like for example the one of the Barolo Hotel that we have created with other members of the family. So, and we are ready for the next generation. We have 4 kids, 2 myself and 2 Stefano, that hopefully we bring the wine too.
That's great. Wait, so now Pietro was also a winemaker before
Yes.
your father?
Yeah, and sorry, no, he was a grower. He was a grower, and with his farm. That is in the village in which we are still nowadays, Caramandrana, that is a small village in the Asti area, in which essentially is the last village of Barbera and the first village of Moscato d'Asti, geographically speaking.
Okay.
Because the Barbera area is around the Nizza area, that is also the appellation that there is in these days about Barbera d'Asti, the premium appellation. And so Caramandrana, our village, is 3 miles from Nizza on one side. On the other side is 3 miles from Canelli, that is the Moscato d'Asti capital.
Mm-hmm.
So each vineyard that you see in our village is, if it's red, is Barbera, if it's white, is Moscato.
Okay. And so from the beginning of the establishment of Michele Chiarlo Classic, was your first white Moscato and your first red Barbera? Is that?
Yes, well, let's say that from the 1930 up to 58, these were the only wines produced by us.
Okay.
So it was only Barbera and Moscato. Then my father started producing Barolo in 58. That was his first vintage. And he started making a single vineyard Barolo and Barbaresco in 67. So gradually he has extended from the farm of my grandfather. He has been purchasing vineyards in 2 areas. One is in the Barolo and Barbaresco area, and the other is in Gavi area for the whites. So nowadays we are a little complete about Piemonte because we have vineyards, and especially single vineyards in these 3 big wine areas of Piemonte.
Before we go too much further, I want to talk a little bit about Moscato d'Asti. Or Moscato. So in America, Moscato it's sort of a tough sell for us because you either love it or you hate it, and there's not a lot of middle ground. Can you talk about for actual natives, Italians, the role Moscato plays? When do they drink it? Is it dessert? Is it lunch wine? You know.
Well, first of all, let me tell you one thing as a salesman. Usually when I come, like in US with my bag, with guys like you, we go around, we have the samples. And usually, we have like a percentage of success of 25, 30% when you taste the wine. With our Moscato, we have a percentage of success of 60%. Because especially we like them when in the tasting, there are people that they have bad stereotypes against Moscato because they think it's too sweet.
Right.
To make it taste. Because Moscato d'Asti, as you know, is the same grape, but is a totally different animal. No?
Yeah.
It's lighter, it's bubble, the very good acidity, so it's not too heavy. And this is how the Italians drink Moscato. So they drink, generally speaking, especially in the south, they drink Moscato is the wine for finishing a good dinner, especially there is no a celebration without Moscato d'Asti. So if you have a wedding or if you have a birthday, you have Moscato d'Asti at the end with the fruit cake or with fruit dishes. But more and more, especially in the north, is becoming a kind of Italian tea, because out of dinner aperitif, the people, especially the young people, they learn to drink Moscato as an aperitif too, or close to the swimming pool in the summer, because again, it's very light. It's 5 points of alcohol. It's like a beer,
Yeah.
So,
and it's refreshing. It's very refreshing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How are Moscato sales? Are they increasingly better every year? Are you?
Yeah, well, another interesting thing, for example, is that Wine Searcher is sending to us, like to all the producer, each month is sending us which are the wines more popular of Chiarlo. And Nivo, our Moscato d'Asti, is always by far the more popular. It's actually one of the 20 most popular whites above $20 in US, according to Wine Searcher.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
No, because I mean, for me as marketing guy, it is also frustrating in a way because there are people that know Nivole, but they do not know that it's Chiarlo. Is the brand of itself. So I have to put them together.
Where do you get the word Nivole?
Well, Nivole is because it's simply the Piemonte dialect, the Piemonte language, and stays for clouds, for something nuvole, which is in Italian.
Oh,
because
cloud.
we want to, because in the label there is a sun and the clouds, because we want to suggest the idea that is light as a cloud, and also is the title of a song of a very good Piemonte singer, Nivole, that was very jazz, very romantic, so we like that. I named my daughter with this name, so I particularly like this name.
Oh, your daughter's name is Nivole?
It's Bianca Nivola, white cloud.
Oh, I love that. That's sweet. Well, okay, so let's talk about one more white before we get into the reds. Let's talk a little bit about Gavi. I think a lot of people don't actually know what Gavi is. What is that? What's the purpose of it? What do you guys do there?
Well, the Gavi is traditionally for Italians, and especially for Italian restaurants, one of the very classical white wine all over Italy in good restaurants, especially for fish.
Okay.
That's because Gavi is very fresh with a very good acidity, but also is very lemon, orange based, so it's not too aromatic, it's not too heavy, and so is a classical, restaurant wine. The grape is Cortese. Cortese is a kind of generic grape all over Italy, because you can find Cortese not only in Piemonte, but in most of central and northern Italy.
Okay.
But usually is vino da tavola, or it's not a DOCG, no.
Right.
And that's because it's not too aromatic, too expressive.
Mm-hmm.
In the Gavi area, the Cortese gives totally different results, especially in the Gavi village, that is the main part. That's because it's a very high area with 400 meters of altitude, and is very particular microclimate, because during the day there are the wind arriving from the seaside, because it's only 15 miles from the Mediterranean Sea, from Liguria, and during the night there are the winds arriving from the Apennines mountain that are only 10 miles north. So as all the great white, there is big difference between night and day.
Right.
And soil very mineral with a good structure. And so at the end, Gavi is not only a good wine, but especially the good Gavi di Gavi are among the few Italian whites that age very well. So they are a little different from Arnese, for example, that is another white from Piemonte, because usually in Italy we drink Arnese in the first year, and instead we start to drink Gavi from the second year. Our single vineyard, Gavi di Gavi Rovereto, that we start importing in US this year, is the only white wine for which we do, like for the top red wine, that we do not sell like 200 cases, and we collect them, and then we release after 5 years.
Wow.
Because with this good backbone of acidity, with the evolution, then is like I don't know how to say, like a very good Chablis. So it's becoming more honey, more complex, but always keeping its freshness. So it's a versatile white wine.
I did not realize that Gavi aged so well. That's nice. I'll have to try some older Gavis.
Let's say that sometimes the problem is the opposite. That if you drink a Gavi too young, let's say in spring after the harvest, the acidity is too high and is not still very balanced, especially from the nose profile. So we try to release Gavi always after the summer. Sometimes we have to release in advance because Italian restaurants, they like to have the wine in September, the new vintage.
Uh-huh.
But you know, under a technical point of view, it's much better if you wait for a while.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, that's exciting. All right, so let's talk about reds then, because this is where we're here. Well, let's start with Barbera first, since that's really where you guys started. But then I do want to get to some of your single vineyard Barolos and kind of talk about that stuff there. But Barbera, you know, what's special about yours? What do you do with the Barbera? Give me a little.
You know, Barbera again is really our family grape, no? Because you know, this is also the wine that in our family we drink 8 days on 10. So that's for demonstrating how is inside our blood. But in Barbera we have been collecting vineyard for 60 years. Now we have more than 50 acres of Barbera, and they are all in the heart of the classical production area, in the Asti area. But as we will say better when we speak about single vineyard, specifically they are in the Nizza area. That is the Nizza is for Barbera what Barolo is for Nebbiolo. So it's the capital and the place in which they are the best. And specifically speaking about our Barbera d'Asti Leorme, that is our the most popular wine that we have in the US. What we like to underline, first of all, is that 50% of Leorme comes from La Courte, from our top vineyard in the Barbera area. Because we have got this big estate that is managed like a chateau, divided into 4 vineyards for producing 4 different Barbera. And more than 50% of this estate, so a total of 22 acres, goes into Leorme. So Leorme is a classical wine, but that the first source is a great vineyard. And this is very important. The second thing very important about Barbera is to be very, very extreme in the vineyard. Barbera is a grape that produces too much. So with Barbera, you need to do green harvest. You have to go in the vineyards 1 month in advance, and from the 10 bunches that are changing color, you have to cut at least 3 or 4 of them and to throw away. So they are the ones that remain, they can ripen a better way, and they can have a lower acidity, because sometimes Barbera has too high acidity. And this is a process that we have been doing, the second in Italy doing this process, green harvest. We started in 1984, and obviously we do in a very extreme way for single vineyards. But if there is a wine for which is very important, is Barbera. Because again, Barbera needs to have less grapes with more juice, with a more important juice. Because a lot of times some Barbera, they are a little too simple. Instead, our Barbera wants to be a very good structure, but also has to be good from the beginning, because we do not use too much oak. Our Barbera just see 3 months of big barrels. So the oak influence is nothing. Everything is about the fruit. But it has to be a very balanced fruit. And that's why it's important first to select great vineyards, but second also to do a lot of green harvest in the vineyard.
And so you have La Courte and you have Leorme. What's Cipressa?
Well, let's say that Leorme, as you know, is a Barbera d'Asti, as the appellation, is a DOCG. Instead, the La Courte, like Cipressi, they are Nizza. Nizza is the newest DOCG appellation. So, big area is Barbera d'Asti, 130 villages of the classical area, maximum 9 tons per hectare, 12 months of aging. Then you have Nizza. Nizza is 19 villages, so only the heart of the 130 villages of the Barbera d'Asti,
Okay.
7 tons per hectare maximum yield, so lower than Barolo and Barbaresco, and minimum 18 months of aging. So Nizza is like 18 months of aging. Okay. Of which 12 of which of oak, of barrel aging.
Oh, okay.
So Nizza again is a kind of Barolo of the Barbera, no? You know, a super Barbera. Super Barbera. And Yakult and Cipressi, they are both Nizza, as appellation. So they both have very severe green harvest, and they come only from special vineyard, because I forgot to tell you a very important thing, that Nizza also is only south-facing vineyard. So in the same estate, you can use only 25% of the vineyard that are the one that are completely facing south. That's why in the same estate, we produce Yakult and Cipressi, that are the two vineyards in the south-facing, and then we produce Leorme, Barbera di Asti, because the part of the estate that is not south is used for Leorme. Okay.
In Nizza, how many different producers are using grapes from there?
Nizza now we are more than 60 producers with this appellation. We had, also good, important ratings, because, for example, last year Cipressi was wine of the year for wine enthusiasts on 16,000 wine tasted, but every year we have very good scores, and especially there is, Nizza is an appellation that in this moment is very liked by sommelier and by journalists, because it's the newest, the hottest Piemonte appellation, but also is very severe, very technical. And so, there is really a big work of winemaking. Usually all the Nizza, they are above $40 retail, in terms of price category. So Cipressi is the first pop Nizza, because Cipressi, even if he has all these laws, is around 25. So this is also, and Cipressi is also only big barrel, like Orme. Instead, Yakult is is the same estate of Cipressi, but the difference is that Cipressi is a Nizza, so 18 months. Yakult is a Nizza Riserva, so it's 30 months of aging, like between a Barbaresco and a Barolo, no? And also for Yakult we do 5 tons per hectare instead of the 7 tons per hectare. And the last, Yakult is technically is a delayed harvest, because we pick up the grapes 2 weeks after the classical harvest time. So it's not, because we want to arrive to the extreme point when the skin is very thin, but a lot of sugar, a lot of polyphenols, because we have for Yakult to make fermentation in the barrel, in the big oaks, old style, and then to age Yakult for 18 months in barrique. So we need, a very powerful juice that is not covered by the oak. And last thing, Yakult, like all our single vineyard, we do not make every year. We skip 5 of the last 20 vintages, because if the quality is not good enough, like in 2014, for example, we use the juice of Yakult for Cipressi.
Okay, well that's nice. Well, last question before we move on to Nebbiolo. Obviously, your family seems to drink Barbera all the time, but is there a particular couple of pairings that you think go extremely well with Barbera? Are there things that you guys always...
The fact is that, yes, there are, and especially some classical Piemonte dishes like ravioli, agnolotti, that are the handmade with roast sauce is perfect, but also goes very well with Barbera. Barbera is very versatile. The reason for which we drink Barbera is that you open a bottle of Barbera, even if you do not know what you're going to eat, because goes well with most of dishes. Goes with pasta, and anything with tomato sauce is wonderful. But even if you have some fish course, some fish with red spice, red sauce, Barbera fresh, especially during summertime, is good because it's very low in tannin. No, so it's a kind of Pinot Noir in a way, no, Barbera, and that's why it's very eclectical. It's very different from the nebbiolo. You know, the big nebbiolo that we are going to speak, they request a specific type of food for being at the top, no, sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I agree with you completely. Yeah, I just wanted to hear. So Nebbiolo, Barbaresco, and Barolo. Let's dig in.
Well, you know, when it's about Barolo and Barbaresco, especially when it's about top Barolo and Barbaresco, as we say in Piemonte, the vineyard is more important than the producer. That's because we have a very old classification, a very old ranking, back to 19th century, according to which there are, how to say, 5 or 6 vineyards in Barolo and 2 or 3 vineyards in Barbaresco that are really icons. Because have been icons for centuries, but also because today some of the best producers have a piece of that vineyard. Because as you know very well, in Barolo and Barbaresco, we never speak about a monopoly. We always speak about different producers that have a small piece of that hill. The famous example is Cannubi, Barolo, that is 50 acres for 25 producers. So you find 25 different Cannubi labels on the market. No? And so for the main goal of my father and then my brother has been to collect some of the top classical single vineyards. We started in Barolo because in the 80s we purchased Cannubi, but especially Cerrecchio. That is our most important single vineyard. And then in the 2000, we've done that with Barbaresco because we started with Asili as a single vineyard. And then in 2 years ago, we added Fazette, that is the new single vineyard that we released. So when you have especially, you know, I would say, especially probably Cerrecchio, the Barolo and the Asili in the Barbaresco, it's 50% of the job is already done, no? Because you have incredible vineyard. But especially you have vineyards that have a very strong character. We do not change style for Barolo and Barbaresco. Each Barolo and Barbaresco, the winemaking is the same. So it's fermentation in the open vats and then aging in big barrel. Stop. This is what we have done for 60 years. So no modern technique, no use of barrique for any of them. But then they are different. Because the vineyards are different. No? When you taste a Cannubi, is super powerful. When you taste a Cerrecchio, is more balsamic, more minty. You know, so we try to have the true vineyard expression. You know, in those wines, and also because the quantity is super small. You know, the biggest quantity of all the single vineyards is Cerrecchio in Barolo and Yakult in Nizza, and we make 1,000 cases. All the other single vineyards, they are 500 cases, 300 cases, 200 cases. So, you know, it's really, and not ever here. So.
Yeah, that's teeny. Oh, that's awesome.
But one thing important that, because otherwise I only speak about the single vineyards, that like in the Barbera, our biggest strength in the Barolo is the fact that we have this big estate in Cerepio that is 20 acres. And we use only 5 acres for making Cerepio. The other 15 acres, they are the base for our classic Barolo, Tortoniano. So our classic Barolo, more than 50% of the juice come from Cerepio.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tortoniano is named for the soil type there. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's the name of one of the 2 big soils.
Okay.
Because in Barolo, there are all these single vineyards that are very small, essentially hill by hill. But there are, for dividing Barolo, you divide Barolo in 2 big areas. The one area, the right side, with the villages of Barolo and Gamora, and then Verdun and Novello. The soil is called Tortoniano, and is the newer soil that has more magnesium. And usually the Barolo from this area are the softer, more approachable.
Okay.
On the left side, you have Helveziano. Helvetia is the Latin name of Switzerland because this soil was coming out from the sea at the same time of Switzerland. And this is richer of iron and manganese. There are the villages of Serralunga and Monforte. And these are the Barolo with the bigger tannins that they age very, very well, but you need more patience to open them.
Right. Whereas
and our Barolo is called the Tortoniano because it comes from 2 vineyards. One is Cerepio, that is in Gamora, and the other one is Sarmassa, that is always in the same village. So we gave the name of the area because we know that it's not the most sexy and short name to remember, but it's the name of the soil. And for us, it's important when you speak about Barolo to make people understand that it's really a wine that is unique because the soil.
And so Tortoniano is pretty good right out the bottle as soon as it's released. You're saying there's no need to lay it down for a long time. It's ready to go.
Yes, exactly. This is a combination of the vineyard that, again, especially Cerepio, is named for producing very soft, very elegant Barolo, but is also a consequence of the vineyard practices. Because, as I told in advance, we started in 1984 in Barolo, in the Cerepio vineyard, doing these vineyard practices, grain harvesting, short pruning, and that is super important in Barolo. In the Barbera, it's more important to have lower quantity. In the Barolo, in the Nebbiolo, it's more important to arrive to the good ripeness of the tannins. That is not easy because sometimes you have this Barolo with these green tannins. No? And my grandfather used to say, if a Barolo is born with green tannins, it will die with green tannins. So the goal is to arrive to ripe tannins already in the vineyard. So we make all these vineyard practices because only for Nebbiolo, we do a special analysis that is not only about of the grapes when they're on the vine, that is not only about the acidity or the pH, but is about the ripeness of the tannins, of the polyphenol. And we pick up the grapes only when the tannins are soft. And we can do this job only if we arrive, because sometimes does it mean that we pick up a Nebbiolo in mid of October. So you need to have a very strong grapes with strong skin because maybe that is raining. And so you need to do all these practices in advance because it can be a very late harvest for arriving with Nebbiolo.
Well, that makes sense. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to let you get out of here. So we're talking about Nebbiolo the grape, obviously. What would you say when I'm drinking the wine? What am I going to notice the biggest thing to stick out to tell me this is a Barolo versus a Barbaresco?
Well, this is a $1 million question, really. And I tell you something, that this is only my personal conviction, but it's such a complex world that if we do a blind tasting, excuse me, sorry.
Did I lose you? Are you dodging my
with
question?
with five single vineyard Barbaresco and 5 single vineyard Barolo, it's difficult to understand which are the Barolo and Barbaresco if I'm doing that in a bad way, no?
I think I'm losing you.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
And so the main trick is that Barbaresco usually is lighter, both in terms of nose and in terms of structure in the body when you taste. In Piemonte, usually we drink Barbaresco quite young, when they are like 4 years old. Barolo we prefer when they are at least 6 or 7, you know, because Barbarolo has more channels. So drink young Barbaresco and age your Barolo would be my suggestion.
That is great advice. Well, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed this. Everybody listening at home, please go grab some of this wine. I'll have some notes in the podcast notes about where you can find it and everything. But thank you so much, man.
Grazie molte, caro. It has been a great pleasure.
The same.
Ciao.
Ciao. All right, folks. Welcome back to Ride Between the Wines. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Alberto Chiarlo from Michele Chiarlo. Great wines. Go out and try them somewhere. And I happen to have somebody with me. There's a place you can go out and try them, actually. So with me is George Kessler of Villa Giorgione.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Kind of what I'm doing with the podcast now, audio and video, we transitioned to recently, but since COVID, the world's kind of changed a little bit, and so I've added a reopening local restaurant, just to talk about it. It's actually funny for anybody who follows me on Facebook or has for a while. My picture popped up this morning of 2 years ago, which is when we did that little story for I was doing a hashtag Your Colombia blog almost, and I thought it was perfect timing that just popped up in my phone.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, time flies, right?
Yeah, it
Seems like
does.
it just happened. But anyways, this is my Take 5 segment, and I'm just gonna ask you 5 questions.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Shoot.
Well, let's get started. Question number 1.
Number 1.
All right. This question is called Mamma Mia. I want to know, Mamma Mia, what's the best item on your menu? What makes you say Mamma Mia?
Well, I think if you would ask our guests, our regular guests, they would say the rigatoni al dorato. It's our most popular dish by far, and it's great because it's unique to our restaurant. It's something that was created here by me and our former sous chef Kevin McDonald. And one night, out of desperation for a special, we came up with this dish, and it's become our most popular. It's a combination of 2 bolognese dishes, bolognese meat ragu and a bolognese tomato sauce mixed together with a little bit of cream, a little crushed red pepper, a little sea salt, and everybody loves it. So
where'd you get the name, Dorato?
Dorato is golden in Italian, and the bolognese tomato sauce, which is made with tomatoes and butter, is generally referred to as a golden tomato sauce in Bologna. So that's where we got that.
I will add one of the really interesting things about both your wine list and also your menu is that, and if I'll post some notes because we won't get all this on here, but if you don't know the background here, the idea, you really are just taking, dishes from different regions in Italy because you have an Italian background, studied Italy here at USC, and the wines are the same way. So I love that. It's a very unique perspective and way to go with
all of the pastas and pizzas on our menu are taken directly from Italy. Very traditional pasta dishes, and our pizzas are regionalized. So you can, if you want to, you can. Of course, our wine list is exclusively Italian, and it tells you the region that the wine is from. So if you want to pair the wine with the food, you can do that. And it makes it kind of
I
cool.
think it's awesome. And anyways, like I was saying, in their Piemonte section is where they actually have one of the Barberas that Michele Chiarlo sells. So we were just talking about that. So
Yes.
great place to come check it out and,
Yes,
and get
yes,
some
please.
Piemonte food.
It's a great Barbera from Asti. It's a very versatile red wine. You can have it with pizza. You can have it with pasta. You can have it with a salumi and formaggi. It really works well with just about everything. It's nice and smooth. Have it by the glass or the bottle. If you're getting something to go, make sure you get a bottle of Michele Chiarlo. Take home.
Yes, please. Yeah, and I had it to go 3 or 4 days ago. Absolutely delicious. So at the moment, you're just doing to go only, not any indoor dining at all.
Yeah,
but
we're just we opened up for a little while outside and the inside, and then the numbers started to spike again. So, and we had we just thought it would be prudent to until the numbers start coming down to continue to do takeout only.
I like it. Good stuff. Delicious. All right. Well, let's go to question number 2.
Okay,
Question number 2 is called Showtime.
Showtime.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I understand all of the amazing Scorsese, Coppola, Italian-American movies are probably not entirely accurate or the best portrayal of Italian-Americans. Nonetheless, I absolutely
They're
love
pretty
them.
close.
Okay. So I want to know, one, which one of those is your favorite? And 2, what particular Italian-American actor do you have a favorite there too? It's a 2-part question.
Okay, so out of the Italian American movies, oh man, that's a tough one. I guess I have to go, Godfather or Godfather 2.
Wait, that's an important question. Which is it? There's a lot of debate there.
I love Godfather 2 because of the tie-in with De Niro playing the young Vito and going back to Sicily and all that, and I love that. But I can only watch it up until the part when the mother dies, because it just gets too heavy for me after that. But I don't want to give anything away in case you haven't seen Godfather 2.
You haven't seen it by now. Come on.
Yeah,
go
but
with it.
if you watch it past, it's almost like watching the end of Old Yeller. Another giveaway. But yeah, the Godfather, either 1 or 2.
Okay.
Totally happy with those.
And do you have a favorite? Is De Niro also be your favorite?
De Niro and Pacino both, and they're both in that movie in Godfather 2, so you can't go wrong with that.
Great choice. Personal favorite too. All right, question number 3, Cowabunga. Perfect pizza combo, and also your least favorite pizza combo, or let's say your least favorite pizza item, because I know that the world hates pineapple pizza. Like, if you want to just make that the thing that everybody hates, that's the thing on pizza. But what I know, every region pizza you have is different. Is there, for your personal taste, a favorite combination of?
Well, my favorite is not everyone else's, but it's the we call it the La Romana here, which is anchovies and capers and pecorino romano cheese. So when I was a kid, I couldn't stand anchovies on my pizza, and now it's my favorite thing.
Oh, I love anchovies on pizza.
I love
and
it.
capers, the salties.
Oh, that's a very if you're salt deficient, that's a great pizza.
Is there any? Do you have a sacrilegious shouldn't go on a pizza pineapple opinion, or
No, man, it's
eat what you like?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of pizza. Whatever I like pineapple, grilled pineapple and Spam on a pizza. I think it's delicious. I've never been to Hawaii.
Neither have I. Outside of Italian traditional pizzas, like bacon, pineapple, and jalapeno is like my favorite combination.
Oh.
Sweet, spicy, and salty. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the beauty of pizza. You can put anything on it you want.
I thank you. You hear it, real shy. All right. Question number 4. I'm calling this La Bella Vita. So let's say that you retire, and you're going to retire somewhere in Italy. You and Monica are going to settle down somewhere.
Sounds
I
good.
want to know where you pick and why.
Well, probably on the coast, either on the Amalfi Coast in Campania, which is very pricey, so probably won't be there. But on the other coast, on the East Coast in Puglia, beautiful beaches, the Adriatic Sea. It's half the price probably of the Amalfi Coast, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, that would probably be my choice.
Love it. That's my goal is Italy when I finish up. I don't.
My wife Monica is a beach person, so yeah.
Well, there's a lot of coastline.
Yes, a lot of coastline. Yeah,
You
yeah.
got
And
all of Sicily and Sardinia, same.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of coastline.
It's beautiful.
Well, my last question is called Stick the Landing, so let's stick the landing. And
Alright.
with this question, we've already covered a couple things, but give me why is this place so special? What's a little bit of your story and you know, what separates you from, you know, everybody else?
I would have to say my sometimes over-the-top passion for Italy and everything Italian. You know, from the very beginning, 8 years ago, our goal was to create an atmosphere where someone can come here and feel like they're in Italy for however long they're here, half hour, 2 hours, whatever. And I like to think that we've succeeded in that with the food, with the wine, with the music, with the visuals on the TV, with all the photographs spanning the last 40 years of going to Italy. But it's also become very much a neighborhood place, which you know, we weren't sure about that, but Shandon is a great neighborhood and has become a neighborhood hangout. People can walk here, ride their bikes here, come here with their dogs when the weather's good, sit outside, and so I think that's you know, kind of added to it. But yeah, the whole authentic Italian experience, I think, really kind of sets us apart from everybody else.
Well, I love it. I love coming here. Come check this place out. Definitely great for to go. If you're still to go in, it's a great, easy option. My wife and I are still doing that. Also, one other thing that I didn't have a way to work into a question, but one of the things that I took home was the caprese for two, but only one guy ate it. And it is a mound of some of the best homemade buffalo mozzarella ever. And I guess
another one of our signatures, making fresh mozzarella every day, and yeah, we have that year round. Right now we're doing it for two instead of doing individual caprese salads, but you know, when we're open full time, yeah, the individual caprese salad with the fresh mozzarella is nothing like it in Colombia.
So good. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much for my time.
Thank you. Thank
Also
you.
your time.
Yeah.
All
Our
right,
time.
we're gonna sign off.
Okay.
Until next week.
Ciao.
And there you have it. Another episode down. Thank you so much for everybody involved with this. George, Alberto Chiarlo. Go out and try these wines. Michele Chiarlo wines are delicious. Try the food from George at Giorgione. Absolutely delicious. Please come back next week. We'll be talking with Vittoria Sardi, which makes delicious rosé out of Tuscany. And like, subscribe, hit the little face thing here. Watch my other videos. Share, tell your friends. See you next week. Until then, chin chin.
Cheers!